Oh, Carter, I didn't know you were going to join us for this. Are you here to congratulate the Chelsea FC on a Champions League championship? That's so nice of you.
I should really end this whole damn episode right now because I'm just getting absolutely blindsided. This was not a part of the program.
Give me the flowers. Give me personally the flowers, and then give my club the flowers.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. I mean, mainly the reason that you're even a fan of this team is because of me. So you're welcome. Okay.
Half true.
Yeah, half true. So yeah, I'm definitely sick about it. I'm not gonna lie. And just so everyone knows, I'm not backing out. My 90 minutes of running is coming. Probably gonna be early next week, to be honest. But it's gonna happen. So stay tuned for that.
And it will be live streamed. We have to find a way for everyone to watch this. I want to be there in person. So even if that means like a little day trip from me, I'll make it happen.
All right. Yeah, it does be live streamed, but also it will be reminiscent of a real soccer game. There will be tactical fouls. There will be a couple of, long getting ups off the ground. Maybe, a couple balls out of play, but yeah, the run will be done. Don't worry.
Hydration breaks, all that.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going to be getting up super slow for sure because that's a lot of running, my boy.
So, Carter, I'm a new soccer fan, obviously. Like, I don't know anything. I barely understand the game, man. But do you mean to tell me that there's whole clubs that haven't won a Champions League, that haven't raised the cup? That's not that's a thing?
You know what? I know it's a bad time to say this, and I got to read the room. But if I could, I'd spit on you right now. Because that's so disrespectful. But yes, there is clubs out there that have done that. And I'm one of those clubs. That's my team. It's still my team. I don't care.
We're going to have a larger conversation this week, I believe Tuesday, on the Locker Room app with the lovely Michael Lofton and some other folks about this championship and about some big picture soccer storylines in general. They pulled in Carter and I both for the assist, a la Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, back of the net. And Carter, I'm just very happy. I'm happy you have to run. I'm happy that I'm 2-0 against you in these crazy bets on the Sleepers podcast. I'm happy that I keep tricking you into doing this. As Ant Wright said on Twitter, why does he keep agreeing to do this? I don't know. But I'm going to bask in this for a little bit because not only did I just win a major championship, I'm just really happy.
Yeah, you're a dick. How about that? And where'd you even get that Chelsea shirt from?
Oh, don't worry. I've been saving it.
Like, where did that even come from?
I've been saving it, my friend. It's been in the closet. I knew there was going to be a cup raised this year, and I've been waiting for the appropriate time to unveil it. So here we are. I really wanted Pooley to bury that one, I will say, and we'll talk more in length about this at another time because, Carter, we have a full episode of the Sleepers podcast that we are dropping right now with the wonderful Lee Bailey. Do you want to promote your boy Lee here?
Yeah, I'll give a short little preview. So Lee, one of my really good childhood friends. I've known him honestly since we were born. Both our dads are fraternity brothers. So literally me and Lee have been boys our whole life. And my whole life that I've known Lee's been a bucket. All right. So my boy Lee went to Chaminade, did his thing there. I mean, he's all on the all-time ranks in Chaminade history. For those who don't know, Chaminade is a school that plays in the Maui Classic and hosts the Maui Invitational. And hosts the Maui Invitational. Lee was a part of that, had some classic games there. And now he's working for a sports agency, ISE, out of California. And he's been doing a lot of things out there with their social media. A couple of their clients include Killian Hayes, a Piston, Killian Hayes, young Killian, Cassius Stanley, Andrew Bogut, to name a few. So he's been doing the pre-draft thing right now, and he's also just a great basketball mind. So I thought, why not have him on the Sleepers pod? And he's also a Michigan fan, so you guys can relate about whatever bullshit y'all got going on.
Yeah, there's a jersey change that's about to happen. But yeah, pumped for this. This will be a long form episode, first one in a while. So hope you guys like it. Without further ado, Lee Bailey. It's the Sleepers podcast. Great guest for you today, Lee Bailey, Chaminade legend, agency extraordinaire. He's been in all sides of hoop And maybe most importantly, he is boys historically with Carter Elliott, proving the fact that Carter did have friends growing up. So I'm pretty pumped about this conversation. Cart, you should probably give Lee some high praise before we get into it, though.
I spent a lot of time on this little blurb, this little note here, and there's a lot of numbers, a lot of stats, and numbers do not lie. Lee Bailey ended his career at Chaminade University 6th on the all-time scoring list with 1,426 points, 5th in steals to debunk the theory that he didn't play defense, and also 7th in assists to also debunk the theory that he's only a scorer. Those numbers might be skewed because I watched a lot of games and he got a lot of shots up. But like I said earlier in our little intro before this, Lee has been a bucket since we have started playing basketball all throughout his career, from 3XTs all the way down to, him just going short swag at Chaminade. But my boy has always been a bucket and always been a good basketball mind. So, we're honored to have him here on this episode to talk hoops. And I thank you for being here, Lee. How you doing?
No, I appreciate y'all having me, man. Big fan of you guys. Big fan of the show and the pod in general. So, excited to get on here and talk some hoops.
Oh yeah, Lee's always the first person to text me and call me out on any bullshit I say on the pod. So he's an avid listener
and longtime locker room user,
active listener and promoter.
Oh, yeah. Lee was on our first locker room episode, wasn't he?
I'm gonna say he was one of the very original guests on the first episodes of the locker room live versions of the Sleeper Show, and he gave me the green light to wear the new Hunter Dickinson Michigan jersey. So just want to show that off for the camp. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's good to know that Greg likes to support second round draft picks.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I ain't gonna be teamed up by two Michigan guys. Not on this here pod.
No,
you can't fake brand, man. You can't fake the brand.
Can't. But let's get right into it, Lee. For those kind of who don't know you, you just want to kind of just tell everybody what you're doing right now. I gave you a little college stats and whatnot, but you're kind of far removed from that at this point. So kind of tell me what you get people, tell them what you do right now, what you kind of working on out there in Cali.
Yeah. So currently I'm working for the sports agency ISC Worldwide, or Independent Sports and Entertainment. I'm the director of basketball operations as well as our social media manager. So right now we're heavy in the pre-draft process, really just having our clients prepare on and off the court to try to set them up to get in the best first draft position. And then obviously, best rookie year overall. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, cool. And do you kind of have like a hands-on experience with the pre-draft process, or what's kind of your role with the pre-draft process? Because I know there's a lot of hands in that thing and a lot of moving parts that goes into that.
Definitely a lot of hands, definitely a lot of moving parts. But yeah, I'm very hand-on. I'm with the guys a lot. They're actually training out of Memphis, but this last week we had them out here in LA. So that was a very full, very busy week filled with workouts and some media opportunities. But definitely love working with the guys, love getting to know the guys through this process. So, really trying to form a relationship to really build over their career and not just have almost only a business relationship, like really get to get personal with the guys right now. So it's one of my favorite parts of the job.
Oh yeah, definitely good to have a connection. Are you hopping in any of these hoop workouts, or you staying on the side with it?
Man, I'll get a couple shots up, but nah, I let the guys get there. Hey, I got my work in when the time was right, but I'll let these guys prepare, and I'll hop in and play a little D, or come off the screen and roll and get some passes off every once in a while if needed. But nah, I let them do their thing for sure.
Are you letting Killian Hayes go left if you're 1v1? Let's be honest. Like, you're not letting him get left, right?
Killian's tough either way it goes, especially in a 1v1 setting. You don't want to get on that island. So I'm definitely excited to see him grow and get to both sides for sure.
So I want to know, because I'm unfamiliar with ISC until I started just talking to you and this stuff. Is ISC, like, history-wise, what was it like when you discovered them and when you entered the organization? And then obviously to end up with a client like Killian last year, who ends up going 7th in the draft, having a up and down rookie year, the injury riddled, but I mean, damn, down the stretch, he played some really great basketball. Is that like a normal thing? Like, is the history of ISC having lottery picks left and right, or was that sort of a new big time accomplishment for you guys?
No, we've had, so we really started off as Relativity Sports, and we ended up changing the name. I think that was before I got here, but I want to say like 5 or 6 years ago. And that was because we had a major agent death, and then we had a couple guys kind of reorganized after that. But it was definitely a time where we had a powerhouse. And when I came on 3 years ago, I was brought on by Joe Dumars, who was the president of basketball operations at the time, who is one of my mentors, one of my good friends. And he was kind of in charge of rebuilding at that point. And that's kind of when we got connected in with Killian and his agent Jan, who's now our, not only a great NBA agent, but our director of international basketball. But really now just getting into the rebuilding point. I mean, we have a huge baseball practice, a very good football practice, and now, I'm really excited to be here kind of at the, ground up stage of building the basketball department. And I think we have two good guys going into this, actually 2 great guys going into this year's draft. So.
Okay. And before we touch on those 2 new guys, because one of the guys was one of my favorite players in college basketball next year. But before we get to that, we do have a lot of Pistons people that follow this podcast. Okay. So, Lee, I'm going to have you comment and, tell the people, because there's a lot of people freaking out about Killian. So I need you to kind of tell people to calm down and take a break real quick. So go ahead and talk.
Lee, I got to preface this, though. I know Killian's your guy. I know this, but we don't let liars come on the Sleepers podcast. And I know you've listened to this. Carter and I have been like, we don't know. Should we trust Killian? Should we not? So give us the realness. Give the listeners the realness.
I mean, I think the key thing to remember with Killian is he's still super young. And I mean, you got Luka, but out of a lot of European guys, it's tough. It's tough to make that shift for anybody, even guys coming fresh out of college and things like that. It's tough to make that jump. And especially, he had the injury battles and things like there, but I think he did show the potential, and he's back in Detroit working out now directly with the team. So I think they know what they want out of him. I think he's kind of got a sense of what they need out of him. So now that the workouts can be really directed towards his NBA game and his role in the game, I think Pistons fans should definitely be excited about his role moving forward. And obviously, like I said, I've seen him in the gym, and I was there through his pre-draft process and things like that. So I've seen the worker that he is, and he's definitely not about to hold his head on, maybe not having the exact year he may have won it, but I think he's feeling excited and ready to ride the momentum from the end of the season. And really he believes what he says. He believes in the young group, he believes in the young Pistons, and I think that along with his personal motivation is really going to motivate him to up his game and come back for a very exciting year 2 for Pistons fans.
His poise and his leadership stuck out to me. Like, I thought from what I had seen just in clips, it's like he could be a high level shot maker. He's got a really good offensive feel. He's got good defensive instincts and just foundation to build upon. But like, he was out there talking, he was out there directing, he was out there like being a good chemistry guy right away, which you don't always see from rookies. So I think I told Carter like midway through the season, like, to me as a fan, we know at the very least he's going to be a pretty elite facilitator right now, a really high level defender, and like a really good floor general as a point guard. So like, if that's the foundation, that's a great foundation to build upon. And then now I'm curious, because Pistons, there's all this buzz of like Killian might play the 2 next year. Do you think is that a natural move? Is that something Killian wants to do?
I don't know if it's a natural move. I think Killian's a true point guard. And I think just as a lot of the qualities you said he shows, I think I think a lot of that is because he was born and raised a point guard the whole time. I do think he's realized, and I think that, the people around him have realized that his ability to make plays has also made him realize that he can get to where he wants on the floor. And the way the NBA works these days is guard score. It's a guard scoring and guard, heavy league at this point in time. And I think that now that he's in the position to where a team has invested in him and took that time to, really say, we're going to give you this time. We're going to put the ball in your hands, to realize that with the ball in his hands that much, that, his ability to score. And I shouldn't say his ability to score, but he now has, to look for his ability to score way more rather than just getting other people involved, which I think is like the natural thing for him because he really is, just as I said before, like he's a real team guy. He's really team oriented and things like that. But I think now he's realized that, the opportunity is there to impact the game even more and really be that, true go-to guy. And if that means playing off the ball sometimes because he can, then he can do that. But I don't necessarily think it'll be like a forced issue or anything like that.
Definitely. I mean, I could see maybe a Killian Cade backcourt, Killian J Green backcourt, maybe Killian to Evan Mobley. The possibilities are there as long as we don't get screwed in the lottery. I think we should be all right.
Hey, are you leaving Jay Suggs off your list?
I think you would.
My fault. Jay Suggs is on the list too. Don't worry.
Suggs definitely on the list too.
Relax.
But just as I said, I think the way the league is going, and it's such an up and down league that, we're really starting to see a positionless game anyway. It's you have the ability to do it, then do it. It doesn't matter, how tall you are or what. So I think whoever they get in this year's draft, I'm sure will be a great player. He's still going to find, he's still going to have the ball in his hands plenty. And I think he's still going to be able to get out and show his ability to score even more in the next year. So
last Killian question from me. What's his ceiling as a shooter? Is he like a guy that we expect to hit 40% from three at some point? Because obviously he had ups and downs, really more downs than ups with the spot shooting in his rookie year.
Yeah, I think the ceiling is high. I think the potential is there, and just as I said, he's a worker. It's a shift. That the NBA line is, it's different, and people don't necessarily realize that from a TV perspective. But when you're coming off, and especially Killian likes to step back a lot and things like that. It's a difference. It's a difference in that line. So I think now getting another year under his belt and obviously, and not to make an excuse, but, adjusting to a whole new league and having it be a COVID year at that, it's tough to really get in your routine and get consistent with anything. So I think, just like I said, Pistons fans should definitely not necessarily take this first year as an indication of what's to come because he's going to work, he's going to get better. And I think I think the door is open for him to become a better shooter for sure.
Lucky for us, Pistons fans never overreact. Ever.
Never.
Hey, I want to say, I'm born and raised, so obviously I want to see the Pistons do well, but I've been in the city for a while, so.
Hey, every now and then there's grown man tears being shed over guys that get coaches do not play coaches' decisions in the playoffs. So. Look, sometimes we overreact a little bit. It is what it is. But I will say, Killian, in that first preseason game, one of his first shot attempts was the old James Harden double footwork step back three. And I don't even think he hit the rim. But I remember texting Carter immediately saying the fact that this kid has the footwork down and the green light to take a shot like that in his first game bodes really well for my perception of his shooting abilities. So I think you can see it's all there. They didn't go in and he was hurt for a huge portion of the season. So I kind of want to write it off, but I'm still excited about his ceiling as a shooter because there was a lot of off the dribble shots in the overseas footage that I saw that I still think is there as untapped potential. So,
and I think Lee, I think you made a great point too. Cause I think that's something that people might overlook or not even. I honestly, personally, I didn't even think about that. Like a person who is so reliable on a step back shot, like that extra foot and that extra distance could definitely throw somebody off and throw someone's, jump shot off. Like it's little things like that. But I think it's very, refreshing to hear as well that someone who personally worked with Killian and seen what he does in the gym. Because I know, for those who don't know, Lee's a worker himself. Like Lee's in the gym with it. Lee was always in the gym with it. And, I'd sometimes scurry in there with him and, get in the gym myself. But Lee was always in the gym, always. You never had to worry about him. So if he can recognize Killian's work ethic, then it's stamped in my book.
And most definitely. The one thing about Killian is he's a pro's pro. He saw his dad work. His dad was a pro overseas a lot of his young life, and he saw that, and they've kind of raised him to that. And he's been, he didn't go to, he didn't go to college and do the, student athlete lifestyle. He's been a pro for years, and he's going to work like that moving forward. So I think like that's one of the biggest things that, people may not know and get to see, behind the scenes is like I said, he's a true pro in every aspect of the work, and he's going to work to be the best player on the court he can in that regard.
So you talked about various routes. You just mentioned like he obviously didn't play college. He has been raised to be a pro. And now with the G League route, G League Ignite opening up, with the Overtime Elite League, with the college route, and with overseas, there's a ton of different ways for elite prospects to make their dreams come true. I'm curious, from the agency perspective and the agency side, are any of these better routes that you would point kids toward, or is it really individualized in what they should do and what they should decide?
I mean, I definitely think it's individualized. I mean, I don't even think it's only been a year of the G League Ignite, so it's really hard to even see, how things. Not to mention it was a G League bubble year, so it was even the G League Ignite guys didn't get the full G League season experience as they normally would. And I mean, the Overtime League is definitely something interesting. I mean, I saw the Thompson twins play twice last month in person, and they're two of the best players in the country, easily. They do whatever they want out there, and I think they'll be better shooters as they move forward, but they can do anything they want on the court. You know what I mean? It's almost hard. It is hard to tell them apart. I was watching them literally for a half before I realized, I'm like, man, this kid is getting off. And then I'm like, oh, it's 0 and 1. I'm like, man, this kid is having his way out here and has a high motor. No, but I mean, they're great. So I think now, it's just going to be important for kids to really realize the situation and not necessarily get caught up in the number, because there are bigger numbers to come once you get to the league. So I'm not necessarily saying I advocate for any of the other leagues, and I'm definitely not saying I advocate for the NCAA, because I don't necessarily do that either. But I do think it's a situation basis. I do think there's situations where college is the right situation for kids, and I think college can really help kids, especially in terms of like the promotion and things like that. You can't beat the ESPN and CBS promos that you get playing in the SEC or even the Big Ten and things like that. So like I said, I think it's a situation by situation basis, but these leagues are giving kids, they are giving families life-changing amounts of money, and paying for college, offering them the option to get college paid for and things like that. So it's not that they're taking college completely out the picture necessarily, but it'll be interesting. It'll just be interesting to see how these next couple of years pan out, and how some of these guys, from the Overtime League and from the G League that have actually spent the full season in the G League, start to pan out and see how it translates towards the league. So even though I think they'll get all.
I'm all for the giving kids options movement. Like, just it's not a case where you got to really pick a side. You don't have to. I mean, if you really want to spend most of your day arguing which is better, I mean, go right ahead. That's good for you. Not really how I want to spend my day. But what kids having options is a good thing to me. And if a kid wants to get a $500,000 contract and not have to go to Algebra 2, can you fucking blame them?
Exactly. I mean, just like I said, I mean, we get caught up, but $500,000 and to any family, no matter what your financial situation is a life-changing amount of money.
Right.
What you can do with that and invest in that, or even just buy straight up with that. You can do a lot. Options open up for the family as a whole, not only the kids. So just like I said, I'm not necessarily saying that's the best move, but I am saying like, it's a route, and I think a lot of kids will take the Overtime League and the G League route very serious in years to come, especially the Overtime League, because now you're talking about multiple years, not even in high school, and playing like that. So it's interesting.
Hey, and for all talent agencies, I hope you just heard that. $500,000 is life-changing amount of money. Imagine what Sleepers Media could do with that money. I'm just saying. Hey, I mean, we're Jeff Goodman endorsed as of a week ago. So,
hey, you know what I'm saying? The guy knows a little bit about college basketball, and he, somehow he agrees with what we say. I don't know, 2 + 2 = 4, but hey, it is what it is.
Hey, and Cart, there's going to be people wondering.
Check for sure.
There's listeners who have listened who are going to know and notice where the ad read go. No locker room ad read this episode. We need a sponsor. doors open, slide in. I had to do my shameless plug. I apologize. But also, last quick thing I love about the Overtime League, Carter knows this about me. I love twins playing basketball, and they've just cornered the market on that. Like, that's the funnest thing ever.
All elite twins.
Cut down the elite twin market for the next 3 years. So,
the elite twin. Hey, let's hone in on the elite twins. Get them. That's 4 right there. So let's go.
And like I said, I'm big fans of both of them. Honestly, I've seen the Dooley twins only on the internet and their clips, but I've seen the Thompson twins in person, and yes, they've cornered the twin markets, but they've also cornered some of the best players, legit some of the best players in the country. I mean, they're going to be, I think they're top 25 right now, and I don't think they've ever been on the circuit. They're playing with Florida Pro, so they haven't even been like in the EYBL or in the Adidas League yet. So once they go on the circuit this summer, it'll only be up from there. Because like I said, they do whatever they want.
So like with the, kind of piggyback off what G said, like the change of the landscape and things like that. So are you seeing yourself, like you're going to all these elite, like high school tournaments now? Cause like, I mean, basically these kids could be, clients of yours. Cause they can Scoot Henderson already skipped his senior year of high school and went right to the G League. So like you can go to these Nike EYBL events, and it's a case where those kids could be playing for you. I know the G League Ignite coach, Rod Strickland's been going to a couple games of Amani Bates and Jalen Duran these past couple weeks. So kind of talk about how, your travel schedule is and kind of watching some of these elite kids play. And for the tournaments that you've been to so far, are there any other players that you can kind of tip us off to that are, maybe people don't know about, or you can stamp the fact that that person is a pro or a top player?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. And agencies are going to have to adjust like everyone else because, again, we don't know. We don't know how the league is going to turn out. We don't know. We're kind of playing it by ear and moving as the leagues change. And I'm not a certified agent, so my rules are much more lenient than if I was, a certified agent actually representing, because then the line becomes much more thick in terms of what you can and can't do.
Right.
But for me, I mean, it's just like I said, it's weird, and it's a difference to where you don't want to overstep. And we've seen some of one of my good friends growing up, got in some trouble with the NBA and the law and things like that. And it's very quick that you don't. But just like you said, the jump is quick for kids, so you don't want to overstep, but at the same time, you gotta be there and you gotta see who's who, because just as you said, the kids at junior high school, next thing you know, they skip a year and now they're pro. So it's it's very weird. And like I said, it's cool for me because I don't have to worry about certain things as much because I'm not certified and I'm not the one directly representing our players. But it will be interesting to see how agencies and other people like that adjust going into kids being younger and them being technically pros at all the twins are going to be 16 and technically be pro. They're pros now in America, so it's different. And as we said, it's never been done before, and the rules are going to change a lot because at the same time, you don't want to start throwing money at these kids and then kids start getting exploited regardless. Granted, I guess you can't really be exploited more than the NCAA and not getting paid, but that's a whole different conversation. But you want to make sure that there's still guidelines, and I'm definitely an advocate for that because you don't want to, just like I said, you don't want to start throwing money in these kids' faces and they get into situations that don't actually help them, because there is, as I said, there's bigger bags to come if you actually get to that top level.
Yeah, I've always heard it's the second contract, not the first contract. Not that, I mean, shit, if I signed a first contract, I'd be out. Let's call it a career. I'm good.
I'm good. You're good. And just like I said, like you get, even with these leagues, there's so many big numbers thrown around these days. You start to lose the appreciation of what $1 million actually is, and what $1 million can actually do for a person, and an entire family at that, especially when it's coming on a yearly basis. But yes, to follow your statement, it's definitely the second deal. I mean, rookie contracts they're laid out. It is what it is. You're gonna get what you're gonna get, and there's a little room for negotiation here and there to get the best situation. But overall, the numbers are pretty set in terms of the rookie scale. So it's the next deal, and trying to get the years and the guarantees and things like that in terms of the second contract.
It's definitely a story of a lot of dudes who, after that rookie contract, they find themselves out of there. And then it's hard to get back in once you're out of there. And also, to everyone who is hating on these leagues throwing bags, just know that there's bags being thrown by all leagues, and the NCAA being one of those leagues. If you think there ain't bags that are being delivered and secured, get your head out your ass. It's happening. The bags are being secured one way or the other.
Cart, they throwing bags in East Lansing? Are you breaking news on the pod?
Shit, I hope so. Fuck it. Get it done. Why not?
Hey, I'm not. Hey, but just as you said, bags have been thrown, whether they were over or under the table. So, it's nothing new. And just giving the guys, I think just as you said earlier, giving guys choices and more opportunities for these elite players to profit and make the most, because as you said, the time is short, especially once you get to the league. You really either make it or you don't. We even see with Killian, who's, not even 21, and it's tough. After rookie year, people are already like, all right, what are we gonna do? Are we moving on? Are we believing in them? It's right now. You don't got too long to really prove yourself in the league, no matter when you're coming in. So, if you can make a $750,000 before you even have to get to that point and prove yourself, hey, more power to you.
100%. All right, so I want to pivot toward some stories from your playing days. Carter alluded to this at the top, but Chaminade top 10s across the board in stats. Chaminade being the home of the Maui Invitational, which I assume most people listening to this already know. But where do we start from, I guess, the story of your playing days? Like you're Michigan based to grow up. How did you end up at Chaminade?
Yeah, crazy situation. My coach actually, so my coach and I came in together my first year. So my coach was actually at another school, and somebody ended up out of West Virginia, and they had recruited me. He was the assistant there and not the head coach, but he had recruited me hard and young, and it didn't work out there. Mainly because I was a dual sport athlete in high school. So I didn't even know at the time if I was going to play football or basketball. So Lee
was so good at sports, y'all. Lee was good at track. Lee was good at basketball. Lee was good at football. Lee could sing.
Carter, you say this like you haven't made me watch your football highlights every time I've come to your house.
Oh yeah, because they go. They're going up. Good 4-4 back pursuit.
Exactly. But, so I didn't know. And I had a few kind of mid-major Division I offers, but a lot of those got taken away. I shouldn't say taken away, but other guys committed once I didn't sign in that early signing period. So anyway, my coach recruited me there, didn't work out. But once he got the job, called me the day after he got the job officially. I was the first kid he offered, first signee. And then, it was I don't want to use the cheesy match made in heaven, but for me as a player, it really was. Like, he really brought the best out of me as a player, most definitely as a scorer. And I was lucky to have the opportunity to come in and have the ball in my hands a ton, even from my freshman year. So it was just like I said, it worked out perfect for me, which was really, honestly, it was a lot of luck. It was a lot of luck that came with it.
I was just going to say, I think the funniest part of this story was Lee was actually committed to Dayton, and he was going to play football and basketball at Dayton. And I'm talking like he was committed, like it was happening. Like, we went to his grad party and there was Dayton balloons, Dayton hats. Like, he had
I had a jersey number. I had a roommate.
Right. Like, it was like he was at Dayton. I was
there.
I was planning trips to go to Dayton to watch this dude play. And I think we were in the mall or something, and he had got a call with like a Hawaii area code number, and he got the call, and I'm like, someone's bullshit. Like, someone's fucking with you. Like, this can't be true. Like, you're literally going to Dayton in a couple weeks.
A little bit, not at that time, but we used to play around. Like, sometimes, well, it was more when we were younger, but people would like fake a call and be like, "Oh, this is Duke," like, or something like that, and then like somebody get all serious. So I'm like, Hawaii, and I had never heard from them like at this point, and this was late, like we said, this is late in the process. This is like May and June going into my freshman year of college, but got the call. And I mean, my coach's pitch really was to me like, first he's like, we got the Maui Invitational, so you get a couple TV games, which, you know, pretty much no other D2 in the country can promise you. Actually, no other can promise you unless you make it to the Final Four, which, you know, obviously is tough for anybody. And most kids don't see that in their college career. So you have that. And then he was just like, look, you could spend, you know, a year in Ohio, or he was like, worst case, you're going to get a free year living in Hawaii. If you hate it, you know, I'm sure there'll be options for you to go back. I'm like, all right, you know, it makes sense. You know, it makes sense. And like I said, I mean, you couldn't take me away after I got there. So like it was opportunities to go to, you know, a couple bigger schools, especially after the Maui Invitational my first couple years. But I just loved it. Like the atmosphere, his style of coaching, our style of play, like it was just perfect for me out there.
So this Dayton story, which I had no idea of, was this prior to Archie Miller era Dayton?
This was Archie Miller Dayton. Yeah.
Wow.
This was right after BG left Dayton.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to force you to go anywhere, but we did interview other Dayton Flyer alum, Devin Oliver, on this podcast, and he had some choice words about Archie Miller. So I got to open the door. Like, was the Archie Miller part of the reason to move away?
Not at all. I mean, it was part of the financial situation of going to both. Like, I needed both to play, and like knowing what I know now is just it's impossible to. I shouldn't say it's impossible, but it is very tough to juggle one college sport and do everything else, let alone like trying to be on two teams, actually be effective in play, you know, on both levels. So having the opportunity to go and have everything paid for at Chaminade was, I mean, it was. So no, I don't know Archie Miller at all. So I have I have nothing good nor bad to say outside of what I've seen. And I mean, they had some good squads there. I can't say that, but other than that, like I don't, you know, I wouldn't know him at all. So
hey, all I know is I was FaceTiming Lee the first week of school, and this man was on the beach. Like the beach was at his dorm. Like you go out the door and there's a beach. Like you could not beat that.
It was surreal. Like it would be, you know, sometimes I had a moped out there. Like that's a lot of people have mopeds, not cars. On a moped, I'll be riding around, looking around sometimes like, what am I doing out here? Like, how did I end up here? Like,
so
it was, like I said, it was love.
We've made every player guest, I think, just talk us through, like, did you ever have a big man on campus moment? And I mean, I can imagine playing in the Maui Invitational, being the best player on the team for multiple years, and you're in the islands of Hawaii. Like that's gotta be some people's dreams out here. Like give us any sort of story. Was there ever like oh yeah, I'm that boy on these islands. I run these islands.
I wouldn't say that necessarily. Like it was love. Like our basketball team.
Liar.
Nah. So I mean, when we won the Maui Invitational, we came back and I shouldn't say we won the Maui Invitational.
When you won that game, I was just gonna say, talk about the game you won. I know you. I know you was feeling yourself.
Definitely, we beat Texas and we came back and they had like, you know, we had like snacks and stuff in our room and people like postered our dorm wall because we still like lived with everybody else and stuff like that. So like that was a cool moment. But I mean, our team overall, like we got heavy support. We're like Chaminade's a small D2 overall. Like we get the Maui Invitational, but other than that, like I think only 2 or 3 sports are actually fully funded: basketball, women's volleyball. Maybe I don't even think softball's fully funded. So like a lot of the sports are very up and down at the school at times, but basketball is obviously something that they put money behind and obviously get a lot from the Maui Invitational and hosting that. But we always got love on campus because I mean, frankly, we were good and we kind of put the school on the map in terms of the Maui Invitational. So like that's how people would know this was from our basketball team. So it was never a big man on campus because like nobody really, I would never say there was like a downtime. Like people always like, you know, like from the time I got there, like it was love. Like I said, I played well early too. So like that was kind of like, I was like the basketball guy from the time I was on campus and became more by the time I left. But like it was always like a huge support system there in terms of the basketball team.
Got you. And before we move on to something else, Can I get a comment out of you about how you busted John Stockton's son's ass, David Stockton? Please. Please.
I mean, I did well. I did well against smaller guards, and I say that like I'm a big guard, but I'm really not, like I'm not. But I did like I scored off the dribble a lot. So whenever I can get to my spots and I can shoot over somebody, I was going to have a high scoring game. So it got to that point with them, and I hit a couple early, and at that point, I was about to say it hit the point where like I was just getting anywhere I wanted and shooting right over them. So.
Give me the Lee Bailey package.
Carter and I would text when we'd see him because he had and I'm sure still is like he was killing in the G League and stuff like he was having a very, and I'm like I said, I don't follow him, but I'm sure still having like a very solid pro career, to this day. But yeah, I was doing anything I wanted with him, that's for sure.
Walk me through the Lee Bailey bag. Like I'm on an island trying to guard Lee Bailey and you got the ball, 10 seconds on the clock. Like what are you putting me through in the gulag of moves? What's the go-to?
We'll see. 10 seconds, tie game, so I can, or we down 2, or
no, let's go tie game. You can dance. You can dance.
What's do anything I want. All right. I'm probably going to the pull up. I'm probably either going to the pull up or at some point, definitely probably going to the left to right cross and then shooting off of that. Like that, the cross was definitely my go-to, and I would say I expanded the bag at Chaminade, but regardless, like I was trying to set up either for a hesitation and go and pull up, or I would fake the hesitation and cross and pull it up. Like I was
just gonna say hezzy mid range was LB's just the hezzy mid range is just possession after possession, hezzy mid ranges all the time.
I actually wasn't a big handles guy. I feel like people, because I was a smaller guard, people think like they just automatically assume you handle a lot, but I really was more of a like, let me figure out how to get to like my spot, and then at that point it was rinse and repeat.
Were you a talker too? Like when you're just giving David Stockton buckets, are you all of a sudden hitting it with some, well, daddy's not here no more, like nothing like that?
I definitely was a talker, not that game because they also given it to us during that time. So it was like, but I definitely, I was a talker. Carter knows, we played together in high school. Like, you got to let them know you gave them a bucket every once in a while. So
I didn't
take my beat, but it depends.
Hey, I didn't just get my shit talking from nowhere, G. It was instilled at an early age at Country Day that you're not getting a bucket unless you know that the other team knows that they just got a bucket on them. Like you had to let them know a bucket just happened.
That's one of my favorite all-time Carter Elliott quotes is, what's the point in getting a bucket without letting somebody know that you just got a bucket?
Gotta let them know they got a bucket. And it was like, we did like kind of a full court run and jump almost at Chaminade too. So it was natural to just, once you scored and you were picking up 94 feet, like your turn and you're already in their chest, like you just got a bucket. Like, and you might tell them like, I'm going to take this shit from you too. Like in the next second, like, it could go anywhere, but I definitely, I would say not unnecessarily, but I definitely was not quiet. That's for sure.
Yeah, that quiet is not the word that would come to mind at all. There's definitely a lot of shit talking going on. But I kind of want to shift here because we got the NBA playoffs going on right now. And, that's everyone watches the NBA playoffs. And I know you're an avid basketball fan, avid watcher of the game, and know your stuff. So I kind of want to just get your thoughts on the playoffs so far and who your favorite would be. I mean, I know you always been Team Bron. You always roll with Bron, but you sticking with them this year, or what's up?
Still tough for me to bet against Bron. Can't lie to you. And I think the Lakers, in a weird way, they're still in the path of getting better. They had so many injuries and they're still there. But I think Brooklyn's gonna be tough to beat 4 out of 7 games. Like they just got 4 guys who can and literally have just been going to get 40 like pretty much every night. And like you talk about they're gonna get, the 3 of them are gonna have 100 plus just within them every night. So I think Brooklyn's gonna be tough to beat out of the East. I don't honestly. I'm a big like you got to have a closer. Like I think Milwaukee's a really good team, but at the end of the day, I think I don't think yet that Giannis has that bag to close a series out to finish somebody. I think Chris Middleton could be that guy for him, but I don't think they necessarily put Chris Middleton in those positions at the end of the game to where he's the one like maybe Drew. We'll see if Drew becomes that guy because I love his game, but I think having Bron and having AD, like you know who it's going to. Brooklyn, like I said, it's you got three ways to, who pretty much nobody in the league can stop. So when the playoffs come down, you get to the last 2-3 minutes in the fourth quarter, like you can have all the sets and all the offense and stuff you want, but in the last 3 minutes, you're putting the ball in your best player's hands and they got to make plays. And I think those two teams like got the guys to really do that.
And I feel bad saying this because we had Ken Palm on here, who is the god of analytics, and that's all good and well, but there were really people out there who tried to tell me that somehow putting James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving on the basketball court at the same time wouldn't work out.
It's not a good plan. Well, like, I think the other thing too is like, I think Kyrie.
Greg, don't be that guy, Greg. Stop.
Go ahead, Lee. Let's give Lee a minute here.
I'll just say, I think people underrate the fact that, it was like, and yes, they do put the ball on the floor, but I mean, to me, like Kyrie Irving is a shooting guard. He's a 2, and I think James is a natural 1. So I think people like think, and KD can do anything he wants. So like I think having them, it naturally fits as a 1, 2, 3 way more than I feel like people would give it credit for, thinking of like Kyrie as a point guard and really James Harden as a shooting guard when I think it's reversed. And I think that's why like. I mean, everybody knows I'm a huge Kyrie fan. Whether he's best for a team, or not, but like one thing I will watch Kyrie Irving play because I know his bag is literally limitless. Like in terms of like skill and playmaking abilities, like if you ask me, one of the best of all time in terms of actual skill level on a basketball court and what he can do with the ball and finishing around the basket, but I think going into the playoffs, having James at the 1, Kyrie at the 2, and then having KD, who's just like, I shouldn't say KD. I keep putting KD third, like he's third, but having something like KD is just like, I mean, I think he's the most unguardable player in the league. So, like, just like you said, you can talk numbers all you want, but having 3 guys who can literally go get 40 and 50 points every single night and do it pretty well and efficiently and have been doing it well and efficiently, especially James and KD for, I mean, the last 5 years to 10, like.
Greg, go ahead and get your shit off, Greg.
No, look, first of all, I'm going to say positive things about Brooklyn because they are very clearly a much bigger title threat than I thought they would be. I don't know why. Honestly, like it should have been more obvious to everyone that Brooklyn should probably be the title favorite going into this. But I think like the fact that those 3 weren't playing together for so much of the regular season is probably part of this. Like I honestly just sort of diminished in my mind how good they'd be together because we only saw 2 of them play together for really the entire season. That said, there's 2 things that I don't like when it comes playoff time. And one of them is teams whose best player can't take the final shot. Hello, Milwaukee. Like, I don't like the fact that Giannis has to hide or just be waiting around the block for Chris Middleton to go get a buck. Like, that's just not going to win you an NBA title. That'd actually be better if they were running shit for sleepers vote for most improved player, Bryn Forbes, who's been having a breakout offseason right now. But I'll digress.
Let's not talk about Bryn. Me and Lee got PTSD about Bryn. We don't need that.
Oh God.
We probably put Bryn on the Spurs radar when he wet us up in that game.
I was at that game, by the way. I was watching that game. It was disgusting, but hey, they did that to a lot of people. I was in the same district as them. I saw that happen quite a bit.
Sorry, G, I didn't want to throw you off. I really just got the Bryn Ford.
It's Bryn. He had to do it. The second thing I don't like though,
probably one of the best players out of Michigan in the last 10 years. I mean, definitely one of the best. Probably top 5 careers out of Michigan players.
We were talking about that just in our little group text. Like, is Bryn the greatest career out of Lansing? Like, all of a sudden, that's an argument with the next contract he's about to get and what he's doing in this playoffs, which is nuts. I mean, his career's been insane to watch from literally growing up watching him hoop with Zach Hurth at court 1 3 times a week to doing this in the NBA playoffs is nuts. But the second thing I don't like, which Brooklyn still falls into, is teams who don't know who's the best player who should be taking the last shot.
They know.
Kyrie doesn't.
Kyrie does.
Kyrie doesn't.
Kyrie does.
Kyrie doesn't, Carter.
Oh, he knows. He knows that Kevin Durant is the best player on the Nets. Facts.
You don't have to tell me this. You have to tell Kyrie Irving this. And listen, all I'm going to say is they're good enough. They're going to run through the East. I'll be surprised if it goes 7 against really anybody in the East. I mean, maybe Milwaukee, maybe Philly, but I doubt it. Partially because Giannis and Ben Simmons aren't guys that you can play through in the playoffs. But I think I want to see this Brooklyn team in a tight series because they are so prone to emotional meltdowns. Like they just are. And I get that when they're more talented, they don't really have to, but like they lost 1 game to the Celtics and we've got Kyrie stomping on logos and calling a whole city out for racism, which I know is a very real thing, but like, it's just a lot going on there that like in a 7-game series against LeBron James with a title on the line, do you really want all that from a guy who you claim knows he's not the best player? Like, I don't know. I think Kyrie's going to either be grumpy he's not getting shots or be vocal that he should be getting shots, or there's just going to be some drama that will get in the way of them winning a title.
I mean, I think Kyrie is I think we'll see Kyrie in the NBA for maybe like 2 to 3 more years. Like, I think Kyrie is, he's got other things on his mind, but that'll help Brooklyn. So I don't think he'll complain about getting enough shots. One, I think he'll go, if he's not getting enough shots, I think he'll just go take more shots.
Go shoot more.
Yeah, like I don't think he'll have that issue, but I don't think Kyrie at this point in his career minds being that second or even third fiddle in this case for the Knicks, especially when it comes down the stretch. Granted, he does we all watch the game. You think that he's about to give it up to KD, and then next thing you know, he's right in that bag and shooting it himself. But
which I act like that's a bad option. Like, it's obviously not. Like, Kyrie could go out and win a title himself doing that if, like, God forbid something happens to KD or Harden, like, and he needs to do that. He could go there. He's good enough. But I'm just saying, I'm never going to trust Kyrie Irving mentally ever since he intentionally threw out this is the first player I've ever played with that could make that shot. Like, you're disrespecting the greatest player of our generation. Are we sure he's all the way there mentally right now? Like, I'm supposed to trust this man?
I mean, Kyrie is probably just like, I mean, Carter, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this clip, but the one where they asked Kyrie, like, if LeBron has been like a good father figure to him, like, people have tried to like son Kyrie and LeBron, like, from the time. So I can get, and I know probably Kyrie does not hate Bron, so I should say like doesn't hate for him. But there is probably an annoyance that for the first, I mean, Kyrie was playing some great basketball in Cleveland. Granted, wasn't doing it that well without Bron, but it's probably hard growing up and having your championship year and your great year, and people are you already know once you step into the room, people are going to ask you about LeBron James. So, right. But yeah, that was a low one.
Nobody wants to be sunned.
But so let's fast forward to the NBA Finals. 3-3, game 6. Kyrie goes for 40 and KD hits the game winner. And in the post-game press conference, somebody asked Kyrie, what's it like to sit there and watch Kevin Durant take you to a game 7? You really is he just going to be fine with that? There's going to be no issue there?
I think he would. I mean, I do think if the media is doing their job well, they're going to frame the question just like you framed it in the way that it's like, I'm going to get a reaction out of him. Yeah, I do think they will try because, I mean, that's their job, and that's what gets the clicks these days and gets the views. But I truly don't. I truly don't think Kyrie is going to be like, I think by him being in Brooklyn and encouraging the other guys to come, I don't think that he'll complain about not taking the last shot.
We need to make sure Greg doesn't get a media pass. It sounds like because he's gonna be in there asking any damn thing.
That's just how you I was like, that was pretty good to get a reaction out of somebody, right?
Oh man, I have such a hard time with Kyrie, you guys. I really do, and I'm even trying to process this whole saga of this week. Like the Boston racism stuff is 100% real. And the way that one Boston fan responded to it was stupid and horrible and just like totally tone deaf. But like at the same time, like I've hated Kyrie Irving for a long time for a lot of reasons. And like,
Yeah.
I from a fan, as a person, like I don't hate any basketball player as a person unless they do something really stupid, but I can't even think of one off the top of my head. But like,
I do. Andre Drummond.
yeah, like, are you telling me like, are we allowed to hate players like this? Like, is Kyrie Irving hateable by me as like a white basketball fan, or does that cross some line that like I'm uncomfortable with now? You know what I mean?
It's to me, it's twofold. So like you cannot like Kyrie as a basketball player, but I feel like people are really crossing the line to where it's getting to the area where they're just saying, I hate Kyrie. I'm sick of Kyrie. It's not really as a basketball thing, because usually when people put up these posts or these tweets or anything, it's nothing basketball related with Kyrie. It's more just the hatred towards him as a person, which kind of crosses the line. And like I said, with the first reaction to his comments, it was very telling what happened afterwards, why people think Boston is the way it is, because people kind of showed their true colors once he made those comments. And they're continuing to do the same thing with this whole logo stomping thing. Can they be pissed about that? Of course, but like they're also doing these situations where they're like basically attacking Kyrie and taking it way beyond basketball. And at the end of the day, it's still basketball. No matter how much money they make, no matter what's going on, at the end of the day, he's a basketball player, but he's also a person. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that we got to hear from Glenn Big Baby Davis commenting on this, and KG's over here trying to tell me how to tote a moral line. Like, you literally told a grown man his wife tasted like Honey Nut Cheerios, and you want to tell me like what is crossing the line and what is disrespectful? Like, dog, you told Charlie Villanueva he had cancer because he was bald. Like, when I'm talking about toting moral lines, I don't really want to talk to KG about that. That'd be like asking Floyd Mayweather if he can teach me how to read. It's stupid. He can't read. So like, that's the type of stuff that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's the aftermath of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of, I mean, just like you said, these guys are people. I mean, they're playing NBA, they're in the NBA, and yes, they're working out, maybe 2-3 hours a day and recovering, maybe another 2-3 hours a day, which is heavy if you want to give it 6 hours. But they have 18 hours where they have their own lives. They still go home and have their own families and have their own friends and conversations. And I think people put them on this platform, and whenever people get put up on a platform, their emotions don't get put on that platform. So I think Kyrie, he said it. He's gonna speak up about stuff that he doesn't like. Now, granted, do I think the stumbling on the logo and stuff, is that excessive and stuff? Like, can he get excessive? Yes, but he's made it very clear, like from the jump, that he didn't even really want to play at even in the in the bubble and in different situations. Like, he's made it clear, like I don't care. Like, there's other things going on in his head that he's really focused on and wants to put his time to. And I don't think necessarily even gets highlighted enough for how much Kyrie does off the court. And I think if they did, because that's not what gets the clicks. Kyrie donating money and buying balls and building courts and stuff is nice, but it doesn't get the traction as Kyrie, going off on Boston fans.
Right. You don't like Kyrie because of the fact that like he's not like passing enough or he doesn't do something on the basketball court. There's people out there who literally just hate Kyrie for everything he does. Like, Kyrie will do this and they'll be like, wow, why is Kyrie even talking about that? Like, he buys courts, he does like stuff, and I feel like people just hate him because of that. Like, it's a difference.
That's true. I also I can also separate it. Like, I think what, like you just said, Lee, Kyrie's done a ton of very positive things for the world. Like, the role model of Kyrie Irving in one side is great, and a lot of people should look up to him. He should get way more praise than he does. But at the same time, like you mentioned, the basketball stuff, like I love watching him ball handle. I don't necessarily love like the way he plays off of others always. And I think like I don't know. There's just dumb shit. Like even way back, like he said the earth was flat. Like this man has found his way into weird pathways of like trying to be super intellectual that like, I just don't know. And it's hard for me as a white fan right now to like square that up with what he just said about the racism stuff, because like, that's all real. Like, I don't want that to be mistaken for like my dislike for Kyrie Irving coming from that place. But then like at the same week, he's stomping on a logo for no reason. I'm just picturing like if Andre Drummond did to the Pistons what Kyrie Irving did to the Celtics, like we would hate Andre Drummond so much. And that wouldn't be like race related or other things related.
I got where you're at. I said not needed for some of us, but I definitely got where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Andre Drummond, dog.
But yeah, I mean, just like you said, if anybody did it, and I think a lot of people, if any other player did some of the stuff he did in the league, they would be annoyed by it. But I don't agree with the logo stomping. That's just that. Like I just say that. But I do think like other stuff, like to me, it's kind of just like a who cares type of thing. Like yeah. I get it. You might not like that's not what you want to see. Like, you know, he was doing the saging and had the walking stick and stuff. And I'm like, is that fully necessary? Like, probably not. But do I care? Like, not really. Like, it doesn't change my day-to-day at all. And Kyrie will still be suited up. And as long as he's, you know, as long as his saging isn't messing up anybody else's routine, like, truthfully, I don't see the, you know, the positive. Well, I get the positive benefits of saging and things like that. But, you know, as a fan, like, I don't really care. But I do think he's just like one of those guys that, like you said, it's over and over again where it's, you know, Kyrie Irving said this, like, he's just like the guy that is constant. And I think sometimes when you're that constant one that's just like out there, like it's the boy that cried wolf situation. Like, yes, some of the things he says are very real, and some of the things he says are, you know, just should be very impactful. But when you're also the same guy, just like you said, that's yelling the earth is flat, like your juice starts to run out. You know, like people aren't taking what you're saying as serious. So
right. Hey, he's a polarizing dude. It's definitely better when he's playing, though. I'll say that. Like, this whole playoffs has been a lot more fun to watch because he's active in the lineup. So,
and shout out to that kid who threw the Dasani bottle. Don't drop the soap.
Unreal. Definitely don't drop the soap. And then that's another thing. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, it was like a clip of a Knicks fan like spitting at Trey, and I don't think it hit him, but it's just like, you know, like, I get we're fans and we want to be passionate about our teams and stuff like that. But just like I said, like these athletes are people first at the end of the day. Like, they're emotional beings just like the rest of us that have good and bad days, whether they're playing well or not. You know, we don't know what these guys are, you know, going through their head at home and then their personal life. And you go out there and treat them, you know, worse than you probably would a legit animal at the zoo, you know. And expect them not to have, you know, like, oh, you're rich, so you shouldn't care. Like, that's just not the case. So I do think like they do need to like start making an example out of some of these fans, because there definitely needs to be like that solid line as terms of like, yes, you can yell stuff, you know, and like I love the Knicks fans with the, you know, F Trae Young and all that. Like I love that energy. Like, you can be hostile fans, that's okay, but like, just like I said, there needs to be like a very firm and like solid line as to, you know, what you can say and being supportive and, you know, trying to throw somebody off and then like actually just being like, you know, completely disrespectful and like to not even of the game, but like as a person, like you do that to anybody, whether they're an athlete or not, like they're going to take it personal, you know. So.
And I just hope that for that fan that did throw that, they need to add some charges to that. One, for throwing a $15 water bottle that you just bought at a concession stand. 2, for buying Dasani water in the first place. 3, for missing. And 4, for wearing that fake ass Kevin Garnett jersey with the big ass letters. How the letters bigger than the number? Like, that's
he clearly was just not, you know, it's some people that just aren't there. You know, we the tailgate might have, you know, it might have got the best of them, but like I said, I'm not going to be one to make excuses for the guy. Like, you did what he did, and like I said, I think, you know, he should get the worst at it.
It couldn't be me.
Yeah, we need people to just be decent again. Like, stop being assholes.
It's not that. It's really. I literally said this before, and I don't even want to go off on it again, G. But it is so easy to be a good person. It's not hard at all, like, to be a good person. It's very, very easy. If you can't do it, you should try it. It won't take that much out of you, I promise. Like, just do that.
Feel better.
Yeah, just go to the game and don't spit. We're not asking a lot of you. Just don't spit at people.
We need to clip this. This is our 2-minute public service announcement from the Sleepers. Just be good people. Please stop. Like, why? Why do you wake up and just get excited about the awful things you're going to do at a basketball game as a fan? Like, what? Like, the dude that ran on the court. Like, what? Why?
Didn't even slap the backboard. Didn't even get bouncy. Like, what?
Like, come on, man. At least grab the rim. Like,
well, go out there and make a fucking impact.
There's no chance that man could touch the backboard. Let's be real. No chance.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, just like you said, I mean, just be decent and remember that these guys have a these guys have a life. They're not shunned from things. So don't go to the game and don't do something you wouldn't do to a legit lion at the zoo. Not to compare these guys to animals or anything, but at the end of the day, like, you're showing up and they're entertaining you, and they have injury and all type of other things that they're worried about, and you're out there just going the extra mile to be a dick for no reason.
Yeah, and mental health matters, man. Like this Naomi Osaka stuff, like that's a real thing people go through. So yeah, Car, you got it right there. Like, man, kudos to her.
Women do not owe you shit. They don't.
And they definitely do not, and neither do the athletes. So right. You know what I mean? Just don't. Just like I said, just be a good. It takes literally no effort to not be a dick. So like
literally zero. It's actually pretty nice.
What are people's friends like? Are they are they turning around giving them high fives? Like, oh, that was dope. Like, it's just stupid. Like, it's not cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just truly don't get it.
I just picture you like coming into the group and like, did you see that? Did you see me throw that bottle or something like that? And we're like, sweet.
Yeah, like his voice, nice, bro. You almost got
him. Yeah, dog, you got him. Like, no, what? Like,
almost got him.
almost got him. Like, come on now. But LB, I appreciate the time. So I do got to wrap it up with my question that Greg, I feel like he doesn't want me to ask, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
I'm nervous.
So Lee has played with a lot of good players over his time and his whole lifespan, from AAU with the Mustangs to Team Detroit back in the day. I mean, he's played with multiple D1 NBA players before. So I need you to pick your Lee Bailey all-time starting five with players that you played with.
Wait. I have to get some parameters on this while he builds this in his head.
Okay.
Is the goal to win at the highest level? This is him trying to win a game at the highest competitive level that he could? Or is it his favorite five? Like, what is he building here, Carter?
Is it like the most talented at the time when I was playing with them, or like career-wise, like?
Okay, let's go. Let's stick with most talented when you played with them and you're trying to win the game.
You're trying to win the game. All right. Well, first, I gotta go with my dog, Ray McCallum. Like that one was a lock.
Wait,
Ray
also give us like the time frame. Like, when did you play with Ray? This is high school Ray, I assume.
Yeah, I played high school from my sophomore and junior year. I played with Ray, and like I would say, like he was one of the first people I truly saw that I was like, okay, like that's a pro. Like I remember we were
pro,
and like I was working hard and I was doing well, and like I wouldn't say it was like a little. I shouldn't say animosity, because I never did, because obviously it wasn't his choice. But like I could have potentially started that year, like as a young sophomore on a really good team. And then Ray came in, but it was just like we were at summer league in Romulus. I remember you like tossed the ball up between the legs, just punched it probably the second layup of the game, and we started looking around like, all right, like
he's good.
Yeah, he's good. But so definitely Ray. I mean, at the time, same thing. I mean, my brother, who I played with from the time I was like 9 years old all the way through high school, is Amir Williams. I mean, he's had injuries and some other things in his pro career, but he's still having a great pro career at that. But I mean, in high school, he was just dominant. Like, it was times where, like, I feel like I had such a good, like, college career because, like, I didn't even feel like I got to use any moves in high school, because it was like every time Amir's pinning somebody at 0 feet from the rim. So it's like, all right, like I look stupid if I don't throw it to him at this point. But I mean, he was like, you know, it was impossible to lay the ball up on him. He was dominant on the inside. So definitely got to put him in there. Definitely at the time, well, I only played with him in one tournament, but we played on the same programs. But I have to know in high school, Maurice Jones, like he was in high school at Arthur Hill, like he was cold. Like he was a year older than me, but he was a player I definitely would look up to in terms of his, you know, playmaking ability and just overall skill. And I mean, he's still a great pro to this day. But he was really good. At 5-star camp in high school one summer, I was on the same team as Tony Roden. And I don't know if you guys remember him, but out of Seattle, Tony Roden was nice. Like, he was one of the like.
I haven't heard that name in forever.
Tony Roden was different. Seattle Rotary, Tony Roden, different.
Seattle Rotary. I mean, he was like one of the first like action-packed, like, you know, like he was good and he was dominant and also doing it like with players. So Tony Roden was super nice. And then at the 4, it's tough, but I mean, I gotta go with Lansing Finest Buckets.
I knew he was getting in the lineup somehow.
I mean, but Buckets was just, the name speaks for itself. Like, you know, he was really I mean, just as I said for other guys, still is like really like that. Could go get a bucket in many ways at any time he wants, and you know, he would bless us and play with us when he wasn't busy playing up at the time. So, but Buckets was for sure.
I really like as a kid growing up, 5-minute drive from Lansing Eastern where Buckets played. Like I straight up thought that kid was the next LeBron James. Like he had that type of hype. And I was also so like unexposed to like inner city basketball and high level players. Like I just thought like every high school was a bunch of white Lansing Catholic kids. So like I'm seeing like we would go practice at the field house and then like summer league would end and it's like, oh, check out this 8th grader like already doing these workouts and he's doing crazy shit. Like his footwork was already so advanced, his fall aways, like his touch as a shooter. He was running like he legitimately ran sprints for like an hour of our practice by himself in the gym. And I'm just like, this kid's work ethic is a pro right now. Like it was fun for me to watch his career develop as he grew.
I remember in 8th grade, we had it was like an all-star game. And we had like our little Detroit segment, I feel like up until high school of like, it was like the league. I'm sure Carter remembers, like it was Comet Bond, RNG All-Stars, the Family, Power Stroke. Like it was like the little Detroit circuit. You saw all Super Friends. You saw all the same teams like in the same leagues. And they were good. And then all of a sudden, like we're in this all-star game and Buckets walks in and like literally we're in 8th grade and just dunking everything. Like we're doing the little warm-up 3-man weave drill and Buckets just, you know, strong left, just punching it every time. We're like, who is this kid? Like, then we start playing it. Obviously, he started doing whatever he wanted out there because like he was like that. But yeah, Buckets is my guy. But I would say out of the top 5, definitely have to go Mo Jones, Ray, Tony Roden, Buckets, and Amir.
That's how you know you're a bucket. Like literally, people have been calling him Buckets since like 2010. Like that's what he's been known as.
And it's not even like he had a dumb name. Like LaDante Henton is one of the greatest hoop names ever, and like he was just that much of a bucket. He had
to like Buckets will work.
Actually, I'll go about Buckets. Thanks.
Actually, I'll go with Buckets. Thank you.
Noticeable omission from your list, Lee. One Carter Elliott.
I'm not even mad at that, to be honest. I'm definitely down the depth chart on players that Lee's played with.
A long time before Carter got on that list.
Oh, come on, man, it's my pod. Damn it, you're not on the list either. Fuck off.
And I'm fine with that. I'm very fine with that.
Yeah, I'm good with being behind Amir and Buckets. I'll be honest with you, that ain't an insult.
No,
it's not a shabby list. Definitely not a shabby.
Not at all.
Not at all. Lee, this is fun, man. Thank you for doing this.
No, of course, man. I appreciate y'all having me. Just like I said, I love the show. Definitely a huge supporter, and appreciate you guys taking the time out and having me on for sure.
Sure, and we'll be sure to drop Lee's socials in the comments below. I believe it's at Lee Bailey And the second in Roman numerals, is that the unless you changed it? It used to be LB the Great, but it's
Yeah,
I don't think
it
that
was
anymore.
honestly, I love LB the Great, and a lot of people still call me that regardless, even though I
That's
changed
classic.
it was just like I was going. It was like too many times I was like out at like work stuff, and they'd be like, "All right, you know," especially these days, people are like, "Oh, like what's your Instagram like?" You know, and check you out real quick. I'll be like, "LB the Great," and these people are like, "Who is this guy?" Like, so I had to switch it up for work purposes, but it's always.
I might have to do that. I might have to do that for myself since my ad name is at Big Washed. But until then, I'm gonna keep maintaining the Wash brand. But yeah, make sure y'all follow Lee on all socials. Also follow IFC as well. They're doing a lot of pre-draft stuff with Quentin Grimes from Houston and also DJ Stewart from Mississippi State. I know they got a lot of stuff coming up, a lot of media things. They got workouts that they kind of post on there too. That's cool to watch. So, you know, kind of follow them through this pre-draft process. And as Greg said, we appreciate you coming on, LB. You know, you always got an open invite on the show.
Always.
Right. Hey, Team Sleepers been here since the locker room days.
Hey,
yes, sir.
You know the gang.
Peace, brother.
Peace, bro.